Friday night and the weekend's here. I'm gonna call up on my...
Growing up in Loris, South Carolina, Warrick McZeke was always around music and family. That's where his interest in performing began, whether R&B, jazz, or soul.
Come on.
My dad was in a gospel quartet group, so seeing him perform, I always had an itch to do it. So I'll say that, gospel was, one of my first loves, and then it got into soul R&B, and so I always wanted to, however, didn't know the path to actually take in order to accomplish that dream of performing.
This path would take him to Clemson. There he would become friends and roommates with another small-town South Carolina boy by the name of Lee Brice.
My appreciation for country music grew more by having Lee as a roommate. He was a big Garth Brooks fan, so he was picking his guitar, singing to some of the ladies in the hallways and stairwells. So I would be there, background, trying to sing some background vocals with him, not knowing the songs.
And if you didn't know, Brice went on to become a mega country music star. And one day, years after he left Clemson early to fulfill his dream, he gave Warrick, now a speech pathologist, a call.
He's like, "Hey, Warrick, it's Lee." And I'm like, "Lee who?" He said, "Lee Brice." I said, "Lee Brice." He's like, "Your old college roommate at Clemson." I'm like, "What's going on, man? How you doing?" He said that he was playing a show at the Music Farm here in Charleston and asked if I wanted to meet up with him. And of course I said yes. And what I would find out is that in the 10 years that passed since then, he had gone on to explore his dreams of being a country music singer. And he was starting to take off and reach heights that, I never thought about. Going into Music Farm, seeing a guy that I watched play music in a hallway at our university, and to then see him on a big stage at the Music Farm, that's kind of where that itch began to take shape. I'm like, man, if he could do it, then maybe I could.
Fast forward a few years. Brice was playing at the Carolina Country Music Festival in Myrtle Beach. Warrick asked his old college roommate if he could join him on stage to sing and propose to his girlfriend, Josie. After performing in front of 30,000 people and with a new fiancée, the itch to perform continued to build.
We talk about the itch, that's when I was like, man, I can do this. And so the inspiration was there, and then it was trying to figure out how to do it. And then the how would come 2 weeks later. Josie and I were coming back from a friend's wedding, and we were listening to the radio, and one of the commercials that came on, it said, "Do you have what it takes to be Nashville's next big country music star?" And so in my mind, I'm like, heck yeah, I can do this.
A month had passed and he had just about forgotten about the competition, until one night, when he couldn't sleep.
I was restless, so I went downstairs. And when I hit the last step, I promise you that God spoke to me and he said, you should try to write a country music song. So I'm looking around like, hey God, all right. So I went and grabbed a pencil, a piece of paper, and with that, these letters just started, and it was going to be Miss Absolutely was going to be the song. And the reason the song was going to be called Miss Absolutely is because when I proposed to Josie on stage with Lee, she grabbed the mic, and instead of saying yes, she would marry me, she said that she would absolutely marry me. So she came downstairs and she began to help me, with some of the lyrics in the song. And about 4 hours later, we were done with that song. And it all happened with me just banging on the table, just a beat. Just that beat. And from that beat came the words. And those words said, "Have you ever met a girl that made you lose your mind? Made you do that double take thing that nearly blew you up out of your boots? I said she looks so fine, that sweet Carolina smile. Boys, you better move on over, stop talking to her, because the doggone girl is mine, Miss Absolutely." We would go on to win that competition, and life has spiraled since.
He would begin working with Brian Jarvis of Anchor and Pine Studios in Charleston, and together with his newly formed band, would record Miss Absolutely. And from that song, his style of country was born.
It's country soul, my background in gospel music, loving soul and R&B. Boyz II Men is my favorite group of all time. But then to be able to appreciate country music from where it was and to kind of where it is today. Just sitting comfortably in the middle of it, I would say it would be like country soul is definitely my style of music.
Overnight, they got some Hank on the jukebox mixed with MC Hammer, bartenders on the bar.
And growing up in the South definitely has an impact on his style.
The location and everything that is Southern, it helps out a lot, especially in the songwriting aspect, because I mean, that's what you're doing with it. You're writing about your life. All of those tracks on my EP is about my life. And so it made it fun, it made it enjoyable. If you ever need any inspiration, all you gotta do is walk outside your door. Heck, you can stay inside of your door and write about it. But yeah, being in the South, I think that it definitely allows for better inspiration.
And as he found inspiration in his wife and in his environment in his first songs, he's certain the next source of inspiration will come from his baby boy.